1, we've got a real treat for you. A 1968 Ford Mustang that's sure to get your engine revving. This classic beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $15,000. Now let's dive into the details. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 289 V8 engine that the previous owner rebuilt just before selling it to the current owner 8 years ago. And let me tell you, this car starts with a roar that'll make your heart skip a beat. The current owner has been meticulous about maintenance, keeping records of everything they've done over the past 8 years. We're talking a new radiator, rebuilt transmission, new exhaust, gasket, brake master cylinder, flywheel, speedometer gear, complete front suspension, carb, and fan belts. This Mustang has been given some serious TLC, but I've got to be honest with you, the exterior could use some work. The ad mentions that it needs paint and has a few rust spots, and the interior, well, it's not perfect either, but hey, that just means you've got the opportunity to put your own personal touch on this classic ride. The odometer reads just 25,000 miles, which is pretty low for a car that's over 50 years old. And the best part, it comes with a clean title, so you won't have to worry about any pesky legal issues. Now I know $15,000 might seem like a hefty price tag, but hear me out. The current owner has invested thousands in maintenance and repairs, so you know this car has been well taken care of. And let's be real, it's a 1968 Ford Mustang. These babies are getting harder and harder to come by, especially in such good mechanical condition. So if you're a serious buyer in the LA area and you've got $15,000 in cash burning a hole in your pocket, this could be the perfect opportunity to own a piece of American muscle car history. And if you speak Spanish, even better, the ad says Hablo Español. 2, we've got a real gem for you. A 1967 Chevrolet Impala Super Sport that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. This classic beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $9,000. Let's start with the heart of this beast. The original 327 V8 engine paired with a Power Glide automatic transmission. And get this, all the numbers match. That's right, this Impala is as authentic as they come. The engine was completely rebuilt with all new parts and balanced, and it's got some sweet upgrades like an Edelbrock camshaft intake and carb, as well as a Mallory ignition. With less than 20,000 miles on the rebuilt engine, this baby is just getting started. Now let's talk about the interior. The original black interior is still intact and the dashboard is in excellent condition without any cracks. The factory radio is still in the dash, adding to the vintage charm. The seats are in good shape, except for a tear on the driver's side. But don't worry, the seller has the original replacement bucket seat cover ready to go. The console needs a new brushed aluminum insert for the door, but that's an easy fix. The carpet has been removed, but the floor pans are solid and free of rust. The seller has even coated the floor pan with Pure 15 and added Dyno Mat to the floorboard for extra protection. The steering wheel and steering components are in good condition, and all the bushings, tie rods, and ball joints have been replaced, along with new springs. Now let's talk about the exterior. The white paint is classic and timeless, and the dual exhaust with Flowmaster 40 series mufflers is in excellent condition. However, the seller does mention that the car has been sitting in a garage for 13 years and out of the garage for the past 2 years, so it's covered in grime and dust. But with a little elbow grease, this Impala will shine like new. It's important to note that this car does need some work. The transmission ran okay before it sat for a long time, but now it seems to need some attention. The brakes will also need to be checked out, and the seller believes some of the rubber seals in the brake cylinders may need to be rebuilt or replaced. But hey, this car is over 50 years old and it's still in solid condition with minimal rust. The tags have recently expired, but the good news is that no DQ is necessary, and with a clean title, you can be sure that this Impala is ready for its next adventure. So, if you're looking for a classic car project that's got a ton of potential, this 1967 Chevrolet Impala Supersport might just be the one for you. With a little TLC, this beauty will be turning heads and breaking necks at every car show and cruise night. 3. We're taking a closer look at a stunning 1955 Oldsmobile Super 88 that's currently for sale on Craigslist. This beauty can be yours for just $14,500, and let me tell you, it's worth every penny. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the gorgeous green and white exterior and interior? The color combination is absolutely stunning and really makes this car stand out from the crowd. The upholstery and carpet have been recently replaced, so you can enjoy that fresh new car feel every time you slide behind the wheel. And the headliner, it's in fantastic condition, so you won't have to worry about any sagging or tears. Now let's talk about the features. This Super 88 comes equipped with power steering and power brakes, which means driving it is an absolute breeze. And get this, the brakes have a dual master cylinder, so you can feel confident and secure every time you hit the road. The electric wiper motor is also a nice touch, especially for those rainy day cruises. And if you ever find yourself in a pinch, there's even a spare tire included. But how does it drive, you ask? Well, let me tell you, this car is an absolute dream on the road. It's smooth, responsive, and has plenty of power under the hood. Thanks to its 8-cylinder engine, you'll feel like a true king or queen of the road behind the wheel of this beauty. Now, I do have to mention a couple of things. There is some rust present in front of the rear tires, which is something to keep in mind. However, the seller notes that this car has always been garaged, so you can rest assured that it's been well protected from the elements. The paint job is also about 30 years old, so it might not be as pristine as a brand new coat, but it still looks fantastic and is held up incredibly well over time. Aside from those minor details, this Super 88 is a true stock car. It hasn't been modified or altered in any way, which is great news for any classic car purist out there. And with a clean title, you can feel confident that you're getting a car with a clear history and no hidden surprises. One last thing to note, the seller is asking for a $500 non-refundable deposit. This is pretty standard practice for classic car sales, and it shows that the seller is serious about finding the right buyer for this incredible vehicle. So what do you think? Is this 1955 Oldsmobile Super 88 the classic car of your dreams? If so, you better act fast. A car like this won't stay on the market for long. And if you do end up taking it home, be sure to send us some pictures and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in this incredible piece of automotive history. 4. We're taking a closer look at a real piece of American automotive history, a 1950 Ford Business Coupe that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $9,500. First things first, let's talk about the condition of this classic beauty. The seller notes that it's been in storage for a very long time, which means it's going to need some TLC to get it back to its former glory, but don't let that deter you. This car has some serious potential. Under the hood, you'll find a flathead V8 engine that's paired with a 3-speed manual transmission. The seller mentions that the engine starts and idles smoothly and doesn't overheat, which is a great sign. It's clear that this car has been well maintained over the years, despite its long period of storage. Now let's talk about the exterior. The black paint job is classic and timeless and will look absolutely stunning once it's been polished up. The seller doesn't mention any major rust or body damage, which is another huge plus. Inside, you'll find a clean title, which means no hidden surprises or issues with ownership. The odometer has rolled over, so the actual mileage is unknown, but that's pretty common for a car of this age. So what are your options with this 1950 Ford Business Coupe? Well, the seller suggests that it would make a great custom hot rod or even a full restoration back to its original glory. Imagine cruising down the street in this classic piece of American history, turning heads and dropping jaws wherever you go. Of course, as with any classic car purchase, it's important to do your due diligence. The seller mentions that the car runs, stops, and drives, but it will need to be gone through before it's roadworthy. This means you'll want to budget for some additional repairs and maintenance to get it up to snuff, but if you're up for the challenge and have a passion for classic American cars, this 1950 Ford Business Coupe could be the project of your dreams. And at just $9,500, it's a steal compared to some of the other classic cars on the market. So what do you think? Is this the classic car you've been searching for? If so, you better act fast. A car like this won't stay on the market for long. Give the seller a call or shoot them a text for more information, and who knows, you could be the proud new owner of this incredible piece of automotive history. 5. We've got a real treat for you, a 1982 Chevrolet El Camino that's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. This classic beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for $12,000, but the seller is open to offers. So if you're in the market for a unique ride that's equal parts muscle car and pickup truck, keep reading. First off, let's talk about the heart of this beast, the original 305 engine. The seller reports that it's in amazing running condition with no leaks. That's music to any car lover's ears. You can rest assured that this El Camino has been well maintained and cared for over the years. Now let's move on to the interior. The seller describes it as being in immaculate condition, which is pretty impressive for a car that's over 40 years old. You won't find any rips, tears, or stains here. Just a clean, comfortable cabin that's ready for you to settle into and hit the road. The exterior of this El Camino is just as impressive as the interior. The red paint job is classic and timeless, and it's sure to make a statement wherever you go. Whether you're cruising down the highway or pulling up to a car show, this beauty is guaranteed to turn heads and spark conversations. One of the best things about this El Camino is its versatility. With the bed in the back, you've got plenty of room to haul gear, tools, or even a motorcycle. And with the powerful 305 engine under the hood, you'll have no trouble towing a trailer or tackling tough terrain. It's the perfect vehicle for weekend adventures or daily errands alike. The odometer shows just 67,000 miles, which is relatively low for a car of this age. And with a clean title, you can be sure that there are no hidden surprises or issues with ownership. Now, I know what you might be thinking. $12,000 is a lot of money for a car that's over 40 years old. But hear me out. This El Camino is a true classic, and it's getting harder and harder to find them in such great condition. With its powerful engine, immaculate interior, and timeless style, this car is sure to hold its value and even appreciate over time. Plus, the seller is open to offers, so there's room for negotiation. And 6, we're taking a closer look at a 1965 Cadillac Fleetwood that's currently for sale on Craigslist for just $8,000. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a classic Caddy for under $10K. There must be a catch, right? Well, let me tell you, this car is the real deal. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller notes that there is no rust anywhere on this car. That's right, folks. This Fleetwood is solid. And if you know anything about classic cars, you know that rust can be a real killer. So the fact that this Caddy is rust-free is a huge selling point. But wait, there's more. The seller also mentions that the car has a brand new rebuilt motor and transmission with less than 100 miles on them. That's practically like getting a brand new engine and tranny in a classic car. And with only 139,000 miles on the odometer, this Fleetwood still has plenty of life left in it. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical about buying a car with that many miles on it, but here's the thing. This Cadillac was purchased from the original owner. That means it's been well maintained and cared for throughout its life. And get this, it's an original California car that was bought from Fazakerley Cadillac at Stonestown. That's a dealership with a reputation for quality and excellence. Of course, no car is perfect, especially one that's over 50 years old. The seller does note that the car would need paint and interior work to be restored to perfection, but honestly, that's to be expected with a classic car of this age. And the fact that the seller is upfront about it is a good sign. It means they're not trying to hide anything. But here's the best part. The seller has extra 1965 Cadillac parts available for purchase. So if you do decide to take on a restoration project, you'll have access to some hard-to-find parts that could make the process a whole lot easier. All in all, this 1965 Cadillac Fleetwood is a solid car with a ton of potential. Whether you want to drive it as is or restore it to its former glory, this is a great opportunity to own a piece of American automotive history, and at just $8,000 with a clean title in hand, it's a steal of a deal. So what do you think? Is this the classic Caddy you've been dreaming of? If so, you better act fast. A car like this won't stay on the market for long. Give the seller a call and schedule a time to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style. 7. We've got a real project car for you, a 1965 Ford Mustang in cherry red that's just begging for some TLC. This classic pony car is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $5,500, and while it may not be in perfect condition, it's got a ton of potential for the right buyer. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. This Mustang needs some work. The seller is upfront about that, noting that it's in fair condition. But let's be real, when you're dealing with a classic car that's over 50 years old, you can expect to put in some elbow grease to get it back to its former glory. That being said, there's still a lot to love about this Mustang. The cherry red paint job is a classic color that looks great on any vintage car, and with only 80,000 miles on the odometer, this pony still has plenty of life left in it. Plus, the seller notes that it has a clean title, which is always a good sign when you're buying a used car. Now let's talk about some of the potential issues you might face with this Mustang. The seller mentions that it may need a new battery and an oil change before it can be started up. That's not too surprising for a car that's been sitting for a while, and those are relatively easy fixes. The tires are also low, which is something to keep in mind if you're planning on driving it home. In fact, the seller suggests that you might want to trailer this Mustang to your shop rather than trying to drive it right away. That's probably a good idea, especially if you're not sure about the condition of the engine or other mechanical components. Plus, it'll give you a chance to really inspect the car and figure out what needs to be done to get it back on the road. Of course, the biggest selling point of this Mustang is the price. At just $5,500, it's a steal for a classic car with this much potential. Sure, you'll probably need to invest some time and money into fixing it up, but that's all part of the fun of owning a project car. And when you're done, you'll have a beautiful piece of American automotive history that you can be proud of. So what do you think? Is this 1965 Ford Mustang the project car you've been dreaming of? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this pony home, be sure to document your restoration journey and share it with us. We'd love to see how you transform this classic Mustang into the car of your dreams. 8. We're taking a closer look at a stunning 1976 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray that's currently for sale on Craigslist for just $12,700. Now I know what you might be thinking, a classic Corvette for under $15K. Is this too good to be true? Well, let me tell you, this car is the real deal. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes it as excellent, and based on the photos, I have to agree. The fresh paint job looks absolutely gorgeous, and the interior is in great shape too. This Corvette has clearly been well maintained and cared for over the years. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 cubic inch V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. That's a classic Corvette powertrain that's sure to put a smile on your face every time you hit the gas. And with rear-wheel drive, you'll get that classic sports car feel that Corvette enthusiasts know and love. Now let's talk about some of the cool features on this Stingray. It's got T-tops, which is always a fan favorite. You know, there's nothing quite like cruising down the road with the wind in your hair. The windows are tinted, which not only looks cool, but also helps keep the interior cool on hot summer days. And check out those original rally rims. They're a classic Corvette design that never goes out of style. Of course, no car is perfect, and this Corvette does have a couple of minor issues to note. The odometer is broken, so the actual mileage is unknown, but based on the overall condition of the car, I wouldn't be too worried about that. It's also got 130,000 miles on the clock, which is pretty typical for a car of this age. And honestly, with proper maintenance and care, a Corvette can easily go well beyond that. The seller also notes that the car runs and drives well, which is always a good sign. There's nothing worse than falling in love with a classic car only to find out that it needs a ton of mechanical work. But this Corvette seems to be in great shape, both inside and out. And let's not forget about the price. $12,700 for a classic Corvette Stingray in excellent condition is an absolute steal. These cars are only going to go up in value as time goes on, so if you're in the market for a vintage sports car, this is definitely one to consider. So what do you think? Is this 1976 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray the car of your dreams? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style 9. We've got a real gem for you, a 1977 Buick Skylark Coupe that's been lovingly owned by the same person for a jaw-dropping 46 years. This beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $10,900, and let me tell you, it's worth every penny. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this Skylark has had only one owner for nearly half a century? That's the kind of provenance that collectors dream of. You know that this car has been cherished and well maintained throughout its life. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission. This combo is a classic for a reason. It provides plenty of get up and go while still being easy to drive, and with only 90,000 original kilometers on the odometer, which is about 56,000 miles for our American friends, this Skylark still has plenty of life left in it. The seller notes that the car is in good condition both inside and out, which is pretty remarkable for a vehicle that's over 40 years old. It's been garage kept, which has undoubtedly helped preserve its condition. And check this out, it even has collector plates, which means you can insure it for just $250 a year. That's a steal for a classic car like this. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but wait, it's a Buick Skylark. Isn't that just a boring old grandpa car? Well, let me stop you right there. The Skylark might not be as flashy as some other muscle cars of the era, but it's got a charm all its own. It's a piece of American automotive history, and it's got the kind of understated cool that never goes out of style. Plus, the seller is open to trades for a solid diesel truck, so if you've got a truck that you're looking to offload, this could be the perfect opportunity to trade up to a classic car. Of course, as with any used car purchase, it's always a good idea to get a thorough inspection before you buy. But based on the seller's description and the photos provided, this 1977 Buick Skylark looks like it's in fantastic shape. It runs and drives very well, which is a testament to the care it's received over the years. So what do you think? Is this one owner Skylark the classic car you've been dreaming of? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style. 10. We're taking a closer look at a rare 1971 Ford Thunderbird Brougham that's currently for sale on Craigslist for just $7,500. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a classic T-Bird for under $10K. Is this too good to be true? Well, let me tell you, this car is the real deal. First off, let's talk about the rarity of this particular Thunderbird. It's got the Brougham package, which was a top-of-the-line option back in '71. And get this, it's still got the original matching color interior with those super cool hopsack cloth seats. That's the kind of authenticity that collectors go nuts for. The exterior of this T-Bird is in overall good condition, with the paint and vinyl gator skin top looking excellent. There are a couple of minor issues to note. The front bumper has a cut in the metal and the rear valance component of the bumper is missing, but hey, those are easy fixes for a skilled body shop. Inside, the interior is also in good shape with just a few cracks in the dashboard and some tears in the headliner. But let's be real, for a car that's over 50 years old, that's to be expected. The important thing is that there's no major rust anywhere, which is a huge plus for a classic car. Under the hood, this Thunderbird is packing some serious heat. It's got a 429 cubic inch Thunderjet engine with a Holley Performance carburetor and a Flowmaster exhaust. In other words, it's got plenty of power to get you down the road in style. And with relatively new Hankook tires, you can feel confident that it'll handle well too. Now, I do have to mention a couple of issues with the electrical system. The seller notes that the turn signals are hit or miss, and turning on the high beams causes all the lights to start flashing. The interior dashboard lights work but can flicker and get dimmer sporadically, and the power windows, well, they don't roll down at all. But hey, these are all relatively minor issues that a skilled mechanic could tackle with ease. Overall, this 1971 Ford Thunderbird Brougham is a rare find that's sure to turn heads wherever you go. It's got the kind of vintage cool that never goes out of style, and with a little bit of TLC, it could be an absolute showstopper. Plus, the seller has receipts for all the mechanical work that's been done, so you can feel confident that it's been well maintained. 11. We're taking a closer look at a seriously cool 1973 AMC Javelin that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $10,000. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a classic Javelin for under $15K, what's the catch? Well, let me tell you, this car is the real deal. First off, let's talk about what makes this Javelin so special. Under the hood, you'll find a beastly 401 cubic inch engine built by none other than the legendary Koch brothers. For those who don't know, the Koch brothers are famous in the AMC world for building some of the most powerful and reliable engines out there. So, you know this Javelin is packing some serious heat, but the coolness doesn't stop there. This Javelin is also rocking a Torque Flight automatic transmission with a full manual valve body. That means you get the convenience of an automatic with the control of a manual. It's the best of both worlds. And with a Ford 9-inch rear end, you know this car can handle all the power that 401 is putting out. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but wait, it's got an automatic transmission? That's not a real muscle car? Well, let me stop you right there. The Torque Flight transmission is no joke. It's a seriously beefy unit that can handle all the power you can throw at it. Plus, with the manual valve body, you get full control over the shifts. It's the perfect setup for a car like this. Of course, with any classic car, there are bound to be a few quirks. The seller doesn't provide a ton of details about the overall condition of the car, so it's hard to say exactly what kind of shape it's in, but based on the photos, it looks like it's in pretty decent condition for its age. There's no major rust or damage that I can see, which is always a good sign. The odometer shows just 1,173 miles, which is crazy low for a car that's almost 50 years old. Now, it's possible that the odometer has rolled over or that it's been replaced at some point, but even if it's got more miles than that, it's still a relatively low number for a classic muscle car. And let's not forget about the price. $10,000 for a genuine 1973 AMC Javelin with a built 401 engine is an absolute steal. These cars are getting harder and harder to find, especially in good condition. So if you're in the market for a classic muscle car that's a little bit different than the usual Mustangs and Camaros, this Javelin is definitely worth checking out. So what do you think? Is this 401 powered Javelin the muscle car of your dreams? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you doing some smoky burnouts in your new ride. 12. We've got a real treat for you, a 1974 Dodge Coronet Custom that's just begging for a new owner to take it home and give it some love. This classic beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $5,500, and let me tell you, it's worth every penny. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this Coronet has only 78,000 original miles on the odometer? That's incredibly low for a car that's almost 50 years old. You can tell that this car has been well cared for throughout its life, and it shows in the way it runs and sounds. Under the hood, you'll find a massive 400 cubic inch big block engine with a 4-barrel carburetor. This thing is a beast, and it's sure to put a smile on your face every time you hit the gas. The seller notes that the car runs smooth and quiet, which is a testament to the care and maintenance it's received over the years. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but wait, it's brown, that's such a boring color. Well, let me stop you right there. Brown is actually making a big comeback in the classic car world, and for good reason. It's a unique color that really stands out from the sea of red and black muscle cars out there. Plus, with a little bit of customization or restoration work, you could really make this Coronet shine. Speaking of customization and restoration, the seller notes that this car is a driver, meaning it's in good enough condition to be driven and enjoyed as is. But if you're feeling ambitious, you could also take it to the next level with some custom work or a full restoration. The possibilities are endless. The interior of this Coronet looks to be in great shape as well, with no major rips or tears in the upholstery. The dash is crack-free, which is always a good sign in a classic car. And with that big bench seat up front, you'll have plenty of room to stretch out and cruise in comfort. Of course, as with any used car purchase, it's always a good idea to get a thorough inspection before you buy. But based on the seller's description and the photos provided, this 1974 Dodge Coronet Custom looks like it's in fantastic shape. It's got a clean title, which is always a plus, and it's ready for a new owner to take it home and enjoy it. So what do you think? Is this low mileage Coronet the classic Mopar you've been dreaming of? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style. Trust me, you won't regret it. 13. We're taking a closer look at a gorgeous 1955 Ford Fairlane Town sedan with overdrive that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist. The seller has lovingly named her Eleanor, and it's easy to see why. This car is a real beauty. First off, let's talk about the price. The seller is asking $8,500 for this Fairlane, which is a pretty fair deal considering all the work that's been done to get her back on the road. The seller notes that this is their dream car, and it's clear that they've put a lot of time and effort into making sure she's in top shape. Under the hood, you'll find the original Y-block engine that's been given some serious TLC. The seller has installed a new fuel system, including a new tank, lines, pump, and a rebuilt carburetor. The engine has also been treated to new hoses, lines, and a valve adjustment with new gaskets. And let's not forget about that sweet factory dual exhaust with new glass pack mufflers. This old Y-block sounds absolutely incredible. The brakes have been completely rebuilt with new cylinders, shoes, and resurfaced drums, so you can feel confident that this Fairlane will stop on a dime. The car has also been fitted with new radial tires on the original rims, which have been painted white for a classic look. Inside, the car has been given a new heater core and wiring to the fan, so you'll stay toasty warm on those chilly morning drives. The vacuum wipers work great, and the 6-volt wiring is in pretty decent shape. The generator is also working well, which is a big plus for a car of this age. Now, I do have to mention a few things that the seller has pointed out. The suspension is a bit tired, and the steering box could use some adjustment or a rebuild. There's also a tear in the front seat that will need to be addressed, and there was a small fender bender at one point that resulted in some Bondo work on the driver's side front fender. The car was resprayed after the accident, but the paint has started to flake in that spot. The overdrive is also not engaging fully, so it will need some more work to get it functioning properly. But even with these minor issues, this Fairlane is still a real gem. With 80,000 original miles on the odometer and all the original factory manuals included, this 1955 Ford Fairlane Town sedan is a true time capsule. It's clear that the seller has put a lot of love and care into this car, and it shows in every detail. So, what do you think? Is Eleanor the classic Ford of your dreams? If so, you better act fast. A car like this won't stay on the market for long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style. Trust me, you won't regret it. You won't. 14. We're taking a closer look at a stunning 1979 Cadillac Fleetwood that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $12,500. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a classic Caddy for under $15K? Is this too good to be true? Well, let me tell you, this car is the real deal. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that this Fleetwood has had only one owner throughout its entire life? That's right, one owner, and with just 69,000 original miles on the odometer, you know this car has been cherished and well maintained from day one. Now, the seller doesn't provide a ton of details about the overall condition of the car, but based on the photos, it looks absolutely stunning. The exterior appears to be in excellent shape with no visible rust or damage. The chrome is shining bright and the paint looks glossy and smooth. It's clear that this Fleetwood has been garage kept and treated with the utmost care. Inside, the interior looks just as impressive. The plush leather seats show no signs of wear or tear, and the dashboard is crack-free. All of the buttons and switches appear to be in working order, and the seller doesn't mention any issues with the electronics or mechanical components. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful V8 engine that's paired with an automatic transmission. Cadillac engines from this era are known for their smooth, quiet operation and effortless acceleration. And with just 69,000 miles on the clock, this engine has plenty of life left in it. Of course, as with any classic car, it's always a good idea to get a thorough inspection before making a purchase, but based on the limited information provided in the ad, this 1979 Cadillac Fleetwood looks like it's in fantastic condition. And let's not forget about the price, $12,500 for a one-owner, low-mileage classic Cadillac is an absolute steal. These cars are getting harder and harder to find in such pristine condition, and their values are only going up as time goes on. So what do you think? Is this the classic Caddy of your dreams? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style. 15, we've got a real treat for you, a 1985 Lincoln Town car that's in absolutely excellent condition. This beauty is currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $5 to $15, and let me tell you, it's worth every penny. First off, can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that everything in this car is original? That's right, from the engine to the interior, this town car is a true time capsule. And the best part, it starts up every time and drives like a dream. The seller notes that it shifts smoothly with no transmission issues, which is a testament to how well this car has been maintained over the years. Now, let's talk about that interior. The red velvet suede is absolutely stunning and gives this car a real sense of luxury. You'll feel like royalty every time you slide behind the wheel, and with a price tag of just $500, you can live out your fantasies of being a high roller without breaking the bank. Of course, no car is perfect, and this town car does have a few minor issues. The rear view mirror has fallen off due to heat, and the driver's side seatbelt buckle is missing, but hey, those are easy fixes that won't break the bank. The power antennae also doesn't work, but who listens to the radio anymore anyway? And while the front passenger side door doesn't open from the inside, that just means your passengers will have to wait for you to let them out like the VIPs they are. The seller does note that there is a small leak of either transmission fluid or power steering fluid, but they're not sure which. Again, this is a relatively minor issue that a skilled mechanic can easily diagnose and fix. And sure, the driver's side door panel is a bit chewed up on the end, but that just adds to the car's character. Now let's talk about the upgrades. This town car has been treated to a new alternator, radiator, plugs, wires, window motors, and fuses. That means you won't have to worry about any of those pesky electrical issues that can plague older cars. And with regular garage storage and well-maintained care, this car is sure to last for many more years to come. The odometer has rolled over, so the actual mileage is unknown, but based on the overall condition of the car, it's clear that it hasn't been driven into the ground, and with a clean title, you can be sure that there are no hidden surprises waiting for you down the road. So what do you think? Is this 1985 Lincoln Town car the classic luxury car of your dreams? If so, you better act fast. A deal like this won't last long. Give the seller a call and arrange to check it out in person. And if you do end up taking this beauty home, be sure to send us some pics and maybe even a video of you cruising down the road in style. Trust me, you won't regret it. 16. We're taking a closer look at an incredibly rare 1980 Oldsmobile Cutlass W30 that's currently up for grabs on Craigslist for just $13,900. Now I know what you might be thinking, that's a lot of money for an old Cutlass, but trust me, this car is worth every penny and then some. First off, let's talk about just how rare this car is. According to the seller, less than 875 of these W30 Cutlasses were made in 1980, and they were only offered in 2 color combinations, white and gold and black and gold. This particular car is one of the white and gold ones, and the seller estimates that less than 350 of those were made. But wait, it gets even better. This car is fully loaded with T-tops, power windows, and door locks, which makes it even rarer. Experts estimate that there are less than 100 of these fully loaded W30 Cutlasses still around today, so you're looking at a true unicorn of a car. Now let's talk about the condition. The seller is upfront about the fact that this car is not a showroom piece or a short car. It was the original owner's daily driver up until the early 1990s when it was parked in a garage and never driven again. That means it's got some minor wear and tear, including a small scrape-like dent on the driver's side quarter panel. But here's the thing, the seller didn't have it repaired because they wanted to keep the car as original as possible. And with only 81,000 miles on the odometer, this car has a ton of life left in it. Under the hood, you'll find a 350 V8 engine with a 4-barrel carburetor and dual exhaust. This thing is a beast, and it's ready to tear up the streets. The seller notes that the car starts, runs, and drives, which is pretty impressive for a vehicle that's been sitting for over 30 years. Inside, the interior is in very nice condition, which is a testament to how well this car has been cared for over the years. The T-tops have been removed since the early 1990s, but they're still with the car and ready to be reinstalled. Perhaps the most impressive thing about this car is its history. It's a one-owner vehicle that comes with the original title from 1980 when it was bought new. That means you're getting a true piece of automotive history with a clear and documented past. Now, I do have to mention a couple of things. The seller is firm on the price and will only accept cash. They won't take any sort of online payments, and the car will not be shipped unless it's paid for up front. So if you're serious about buying this car, you'll need to be prepared to pay in full and pick it up in person. But if you're a true muscle car enthusiast who appreciates rarity and originality, this 1980 Oldsmobile Cutlass W30 is an absolute must-see. It's a true barn find that's been sitting untouched for over 30 years, just waiting for the right person to come along and give it the love and attention it deserves. 17. We've got a real treat for you, a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass SX convertible that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This baby is a rare find, with only 793 produced back in the day. The seller has owned it since 2004 and is looking for a serious buyer who can appreciate its history and potential. Now, let's talk about the condition. The seller is upfront about the fact that this car is a survivor and it shows some signs of its age. The body panels have had repair work done about 25-30 years ago, and there's some rust, which is pretty common for GM cars from this era. But don't let that discourage you. With a little TLC, this Cutlass could be a real head turner. Under the hood, you'll find a numbers matching 455 V8 that's been professionally rebuilt, along with a new fuel tank, starter, and radiator. The custom exhaust with chrome trumpets and cutout rear bumper is a nice touch too. The interior has been partially refreshed with professionally reupholstered front buckets and rear bench, but the door panels and carpet still need to be installed. The seller is including some extra goodies with a full price offer, like an OEM 1970 tilt steering column, an Olds OEM AM/FM radio, and some spare parts. And if you're handy with a wrench, you might be interested in the new aftermarket rear quarter panels that come with the car. Now, the seller is asking $14,000 for this classic convertible, which might seem like a lot for a car that needs some work, but when you consider the rarity of the SX model and the potential for restoration, it could be a worthwhile investment for the right buyer. Just be prepared to put in some effort to get it looking and running its best. Overall, this 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass SX convertible is a cool piece of automotive history that's looking for a new home. If you're a serious buyer who appreciates a challenge and wants a unique ride, this could be the one for you. Just remember to do your due diligence, check it out in person, and be ready to put in some work to make it shine. 18. We've got a real gem for you, a 1973 Ford Maverick that's up for grabs on Craigslist. This classic coupe is a rare find and highly sought after by collectors who appreciate its place in automotive history. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes it as good, and from the photos it looks like this Maverick has been well maintained over the years. The white exterior appears sleek and clean, and the tan brown interior seems to be in nice shape too. It's always great to see a classic car that's been loved and cared for. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 302 V8 engine that's sure to turn heads when you hit the gas, and with rear-wheel drive, this Maverick is built for some serious fun on the road. The seller also mentions that the car has a clean title, which is always a plus when you're buying a classic. Now, the seller does note that this Maverick was part of an estate and has been garage kept for many years. That's a good sign that it hasn't been exposed to the elements too much, but it's still a good idea to give it a thorough inspection before making an offer. As for the price, the seller is asking $14,500 for this classic beauty. That might seem steep for a car that's almost 50 years old, but when you consider the rarity and collectability of the Maverick, it could be a fair price for the right buyer. These cars have a dedicated following, and finding one in good condition like this is getting harder and harder. Overall, this 1973 Ford Maverick looks like a solid classic car with a lot of potential. If you're a collector or just someone who appreciates the style and craftsmanship of vintage American cars, this could be a great addition to your garage. Just be sure to do your due diligence, check it out in person, and make sure it's the right fit for you before making an offer. 19, we've got a classic 1967 Plymouth Barracuda up for grabs on Craigslist. This first-generation pony car is a real piece of American muscle history, and it could be yours for just $9,500. Now, before we dive in, let's address the elephant in the room, the title status. The seller is upfront about the fact that this Barracuda has a salvage title, which means it's been in a serious accident or sustained major damage at some point in its life. That's why the price is on the lower side for a classic car like this, but don't let that scare you off entirely. Sometimes a salvage car can be a great project for the right buyer. Moving on to the good stuff, this Barracuda is packing a 360 V8 engine under the hood, which is a nice upgrade from the original engine options. It's paired with an automatic transmission, so you can cruise in classic style without having to work a clutch. The seller mentions that they can send a running video, which is always a good sign that the car is in driving condition. The interior of this Barracuda is also described as nice, which is a big plus. Too often, classic cars have been neglected on the inside, but it sounds like this one has been taken care of. The photos show a clean, well-maintained interior that looks like a comfortable place to spend some time. As for the exterior, the photos show a classic Barracuda in what appears to be decent condition. There's no mention of any major rust or damage, but of course it's always a good idea to inspect the car in person and get a sense of its overall condition. Now, let's talk about the price. At $9,500, this Barracuda is definitely on the more affordable end of the spectrum for a classic muscle car. But remember, that salvage title is likely keeping the price down. It's important to do your research and understand exactly what you're getting into with a salvage car. There may be hidden damage or issues that aren't immediately apparent, so be sure to get a thorough inspection and consider the potential costs of any necessary repairs. Overall, this 1967 Plymouth Barracuda could be a great project car for the right buyer. It's got a strong V8 engine, a nice interior, and a classic look that never goes out of style. Just be aware of the salvage title and be prepared to put in some work to get it in top shape. If you're up for the challenge and looking for an affordable entry into the world of classic Mopars, this Barracuda is definitely worth checking out. 20. We've got a real beauty for you, a 1965 Ford Thunderbird that's up for sale on Craigslist. This iconic American luxury car is a true head-turner, and it could be yours for just $15,000. First off, let's talk about the condition. The seller describes it as excellent, and from the photos, it's easy to see why. The blue exterior looks clean and shiny, and the interior appears to be in great shape too. It's always a good sign when a classic car has been well maintained both inside and out. Under the hood, you'll find a powerful 390 FE engine, which was a popular choice for the Thunderbird in 1965. It's paired with an automatic transmission, making this car a breeze to drive. The seller also mentions that the top end was rebuilt in 2016 to accommodate unleaded gas, which is a nice update for a car of this age. Plus, with new parts like the carburetor, motor mounts, and U-joints, it seems like this T-Bird has been well cared for mechanically. One of the great things about the Thunderbird is all the luxury features it offers. This one comes equipped with power steering, power brakes, and power windows, which were all cutting-edge options back in the day. It's nice to see that they're all still functioning properly on this car. The odometer shows approximately 55,000 miles, which is relatively low for a car that's over 50 years old. Of course, it's always a good idea to verify the mileage and get a sense of the car's overall history before making a purchase. As for the price, $15,000 seems like a fair asking price for a Thunderbird in this condition. These cars have a dedicated following, and finding one that's been well maintained like this is getting harder and harder. Plus, with the recent mechanical updates and the clean title, this one seems like a solid investment. The seller also mentions that they're open to trades, particularly for a 1995 or 1996 Corvette. So if you've got one of those sitting around and you're looking to switch things up, this could be a great opportunity. Overall, this 1965 Ford Thunderbird looks like a fantastic classic car that's ready to hit the road. With its powerful engine, luxurious features, and excellent condition, it's sure to turn heads wherever it goes. If you're in the market for a vintage American cruiser, this one is definitely worth checking out. Just be sure to do your due diligence, get it inspected, and make sure it's the right fit for you before making an offer.